FCPA enforcement guidelines. Let's take this conversation forward. We have with us HP Ranina, lawyer, Supreme Court, joining in. And we've also got Sunil Subramaniam, market expert, to talk about exactly that. Mr. Ranina, afternoon. If I could first come to you, help us understand what the implications of this FCPA pause could be.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me. I think the important point is that it is meant to protect foreign companies, US-based companies, who may be found guilty of bribing foreign personnel to get any undue advantage. Now, whether it applies to Indian companies who have employed foreign companies to do the same, that remains to be seen, because we have to really go by the wording of the actual regulation. And I'm told that the regulation is still in the pipeline. They have not yet finalized it. They are still in the process of modifying it and updating it. So let's wait and see whether it will also apply to foreign companies which are acting on behalf of Indian companies in order to do something which is illegal under their US laws. But as things stand today, I think the trend is very clear that they want to protect foreign American-based companies who are trying to do something in order to get an advantage, because they feel that other countries are doing exactly the same, and therefore American companies should not be put at a disadvantage.
Hi, afternoon. I want to get you in on the discussion as well. And, just trying to join the dots and find the India connect here. Let's talk about the Adani Group. While they were not really directly charged under FCPA, but they were linked via, the Azure Power Global case. So what would it really imply if this were to really become a law? Sunil?
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So basically, the way I read it is that they are going to stop trying to be the moral god that US companies go outside of US, and if there are any linkages to corrupt practices, the old law was very draconian. And so it is not just that, it's that they will inquire subcontractors, and those subcontractors end up bribing, then also they were liable. So I think the suspension of the law and removing that by executive order is a very big positive here, because ultimately if you look at it from India's perspective, let's take the PLI scheme, for example, right? Now, India, obviously, when Modi is going there shortly, we are going to try to invite American companies to set up manufacturing units in India. Now, when they do that here, earlier, what was the case? They were worried because they would employ a building contractor to build the factory. Now, if that person goes and bribes somebody, then they were liable under US law. So there was this fear overhang on American companies when they go outside America to deal with business. The onus was on them to make sure that even the subcontractors don't bribe anybody, and they would be liable if such was the case. And hence, I think the removal of this law is a huge positive, at least from the PLI and from inviting American businesses to come and invest in India. So I think it's a very positive, and the market should reflect that. What's happening in the markets today is for different reasons in terms of valuations and other stuff. But ultimately, this is a huge positive for American businesses to come and invest in India, which is exactly one of the things the PLI scheme is trying to do that. So I view this development as a positive one from India perspective. Now, like Mr. Ranina pointed out, whether Indian companies who are engaged with the American companies, right, are they also exempt? I would expect that to be the case. But like we said, let's wait for the writing of the law itself, which is going to take a few months. It's not going to be immediate. They suspended the old law and they asked the Attorney General to draft the new law. But my sense is that anything that's pro-business, and just want to point out that Mr. Trump, as far as him being the president of the country, he's actually acting like the chief business officer of America. And he's doing everything possible to promote American business interests, whether in America or outside. And I think that can only be positive from an India perspective, because we need American technology and capital to come to India and help boost our economy.
All right, but Mr. Ranina, this particular news is coming ahead of PM Modi's 2-day visit that starts from Wednesday. So can we see this as first signs of improving India-US relations?
No, I don't think it has any connection with the Prime Minister's visit to the US. I think, as Mr. Subramaniam rightly pointed out, this is really meant to protect American interests more than anything else. And I'm sure the decision must have been debated for the past few days before it is implemented. I think it's just a coincidence that the announcement is made on the eve of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to the US.
But Sunil, help us. All right. But Mr. Renina, the charges may be dropped as Trump passed the law itself. So as we know that one of the Indian conglomerates was actually in connection with what has been passed as a law right now. So give us a sense that what more can be in the store and how Indian companies are placed with respect to this?
Well, Indian companies will certainly take into cognizance this current move, and I'm sure they will also welcome it, because most of them have been acting in conformity with law, and sometimes certain charges are brought against them for other reasons. So I think those Indian companies which have been acting in conformity with the US laws and Indian law should have nothing to worry about. And if at all this particular piece of legislation of rolling back this will make things much easier. So Indian companies will be able to operate in the United States, and American companies will be able to operate in India in a much freer and open environment, instead of being subjected to certain fears which they had so far.
All right, Mr. Renina, with this, we'll let you go on that. And thank you so much, Sunil, as well, for taking the time out and speaking with us. But back to the markets then, it's just two of the Nifty